talk about under construction. And I'm saying, Lord, okay, the construction is done. If I'm the last speaker, the construction is done. If I'm the last speaker, the work has been laid. But he began to talk to me about this nail. And he began to talk to me about the significance of this nail even after the work is done. Because even after the work is done, if that nail is not handled correctly, it can cause you to stumble and fall. That you've laid, the foundation that you've laid, if you have not laid that nail correctly, it can cause planks to come up. And you could just be walking, all of a sudden you'll trip and you'll stumble and fall. So even though the construction is over, you still got to manage your nails. You still got to go, and you still got to tack things up when you start seeing them kind of loose. And you got to tack things down because those loose nails can hurt you. Those loose nails can get in the way. Those loose nails on the floor can cause you to stumble. Those loose nails in the rail can cause you to be off balance. And so you're walking up the stairs and there's a rail, but the nail, the screw, has started coming out. And you think you can hold on to that thing, and all of a sudden you lose balance. Even though the construction is done, you still got to handle your nails. You still got to handle your nails. Oh, my little shop. Jesus. But this is the thing. The Lord said, loose nails. And a nail it's like a little lever. You put two things together. But when things are loose, it creates a crack. And in those cracks is where the enemy can find his way back in. Even though the construction is done, you still got to handle your nails. Because if you don't handle your nails, you'll stumble. If you don't handle your nails, you'll lose balance. And if you don't handle your nails, you'll give way for the enemy to come back in. You got to handle your nails. You got to handle your nails. Tonight we need to check the strength of the structure by checking the nails. A nail is a small metal spike with a broad, flat head, typically driven into wood with a hammer to join things together. That's what a nail is. Back in the day, nails were also called pegs. That's when it started getting good. God been talking to me about this right here for a little while. Also called pegs. A peg is a lonely object, not made of fancy material or decorated with fancy designs. And the job was to bore into the dirt. In the Bible, they used pegs to anchor their tents. And so in the book of Isaiah, you begin to hear the Lord talk about enlarging your tent and strengthening your stakes, your pegs. So no matter, even though construction is done, you still got to pay attention to your nails. You still got to pay attention to the pegs. In this season, we better be careful how we overlook things that are in the dirt. All right. Those pegs that are in the dirt. You better be careful how you overlook it, how you underestimate it, how you count it as no value or no worth. Because even in those days, if those pegs came up, the whole tent would be destroyed. But we have to be careful how we ask God to expand our tent, but we don't strengthen our pegs. See, how is your peg strengthened? Your peg is strengthened when you do the work behind the scene. It's the underground work. It's the digging deep. It's the thing that no one sees, the time that no one sees. Even though the construction is done, you got to handle your nails. You got to keep an eye on those nails. And so you have to consecrate yourself. You have to find yourself in times of fasting. You have to find yourself in times of prayer. In this season, we must be careful as to how we overlook minor things. You can overlook something as a termite in your new construction and watch the damage that it does. You let a little raccoon get caught up in your alley and you don't take care of it and watch the damage that it does. You let a little speck of mold find itself in your basement and watch the damage that it does. In this season, although your construction is finished, pay attention to the minor things. We got to, in this process, in this season, we must learn how to honor every aspect of the building process. You have to honor even that little nail. Because one of the things that God showed me is that nail has significance. God will put a type and a shadow right before our very eyes. And we will be so expecting of the big things that we miss the still small ones. And so tonight God wants me to talk to you about the importance of the nail. All right. And he's giving me four. I'm going to zoom on through this, so y'all hold on. But when I tell you it's some good stuff, oh my gosh. And actually I haven't even finished processing it all. Because even last night, the Lord just had me going over and over with this in my mind. And he began to talk to me about the nail. I want to give you some revelation on the nail. The first one I want to talk to you about is the Shunammite woman. In 2 Kings, you can read it in your spare time. The 4th chapter, the 8th through the 37th verse. And this was the woman, you know her, she and her husband. They were people of wealth. And they would see the prophet of God. They would see him coming to and fro. And so she went to her husband one day and she asked him if they could make him a little room. And God began to tell me that she had wealth to afford the nails. See, sometimes we overlook those things. We just keep on bypassing them. But she had the wealth and the means to afford the nails and the peg. And because she could afford the nails, and because she saw the significance in the nails in her structure, she had this room built. And in that room, she put 4 things. She put a chair. She put a table. She put a lamp. And she put a cot. The chair represented the authority of God. The table represented a place of fellowship. The lamp represented the illumination of God's revelation. And the cot symbolized resting in God. But it all started with some nails. If she had not purchased the nails, she could not have had the cabin, the little house built. So when we perceive, where we perceive God is moving, what preparations are you making to receive and maintain it? When you see God is doing something in your life, what are you doing to get ahead, to hold on to what God is doing in your life? Now, what you've done in the last 3 sessions is you have stayed under construction, so that which God is pouring into you, you can maintain. But see, what the Shunammite woman did not understand was the room that she built, it started with a nail. But what her nail was really her worship. She worshiped with her nails. Her nail was her worship. She said, this is the least I can do for the man of God. She worshiped with the sacrifice of the nail. Although your construction is finished, don't underestimate your nails. The next person I want to talk to you about is Jael, Heber's wife. You know her. She's one of my most favorite characters in the Bible. I love her. Her story is found in Judges, the 4th chapter, the 18th verse, somewhere around there. But you know the story about Deborah and Barak, and how Barak had to go to war, and they were chasing Sisera. And so Deborah went to him, and he said, I'll go, but I won't go unless you go with me. And so then she said, I'll go, but another woman going to get the credit. And it was just powerful because she didn't say, I'm going to get the credit. She said, another woman is going to get the credit. Isn't it awesome how you can look into the future, praise another woman, and not praise yourself? See, that's when you know you really deliver. When I can pray for your husband and I ain't even gotten one yet. When I can pray for your breakthrough and I'm still travailing for mine. When I can pray for your healing and I'm still praying for pain in my body. That's how you know you're ready. That's how you know. I might not have all my nails, but I got one that can help you. I might not have all my nails, but I got something that can help you. Oh yeah, I know. See, sometimes God will give us things, like God gave me my husband. But that does not take away. I know how it feels to be a single woman on a Saturday night. Because I know how I was. That's how I can tell you what prayer to pray. So you don't tell God like, well, God, whenever you get a chance. No, baby. You're like, okay, God, you made me. You know what I need. It's Saturday night. You know what's going on. You don't call God. If you don't call God, you know what I need. You ain't gonna pity pat with this. You made me. My innermost parts of my being. You did it. My So if I got the desire, you put it there. Now I'm going to take you at your word. And you said if I delight myself in you. You said if I delight myself in you. You said you give me the desires of my heart. So I'm going to give you back your word. So just because God handled one nail, don't mean I still don't remember the wound. So I travail for my daughters who want husbands. I travail for my sons who want wives. Because it's a good thing. So JL, here she is in her tent, minding her own business. Husband at war. Deborah was on the scene, probably ministering and prophesying all over the city, just doing whatever she did. But JL kept on doing her thing. She kept on working that tent with them pegs. She was handling her nails, even though the construction was done. She was working them pegs. She was working those pegs. And then all of a sudden, here comes the what's his name? Sisera. And she welcomes him in. Because she wasn't at home despising her pegs. She was at home working them. So when the enemy came, she knew just what to do. See, you can't despise your nails. You got to know how to work your nails. So the first person, the Shunammite woman, she worked her nail in worship. But JL, Helper's wife, she worked her nails in war. And what she did was when Sisera came in and she gave him a little bit of milk, when he felt comfortable, she went to work with her nails. She went to work. So where the Shunammite woman, she worshiped for her family with a nail. JL won a nation with hers. Your nail can win your household, but your nail can win a nation. When you know how to work your nail. She was not so blinded by what she was missing that she failed to embrace what she had. She wasn't so blind that she wasn't on the warfield, the battlefield. That she was so blinded by that she failed to embrace what she had. Stop looking in the neighbor's grass and coveting for the greener grass. Stop coveting the bigger churches. Stop coveting the more famous pastors. Appreciate what you got. Ask God to bring the increase of what you got. Learn how to enjoy what's at your table. Learn how to enjoy what's in your house. Learn how to appreciate your nails. And then work your nail. Work your nail. The last one that I want to talk to you about. This is the one that blew me away. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. You know, Prophetess is not one of those people. I don't sit like Pastor Evans. Pastor Evans will steal away. He'll be like, I'm about to go read my Bible. He'd run away and go read. I'm about to go down to the church, get out of the church. I'm saying, what channel is Netflix on again? I want to catch up on Netflix. My daughter's like, oh my God, I don't believe she said that. I did say that because it's true. Now, that does not mean that I don't read my Bible. And that doesn't mean that I don't pray. But I like Netflix every once in a while. It's my way of staying relevant. Sometimes we so deep we're not relevant. Don't nobody want to hear us because we still quoting stuff from 1960. But you better know what Orange is the New Black is all about before it show up in your house. Yeah, you better know. Because Suzanne's sitting next to some of y'all daughters in class. Yeah, she is. Yeah, Suzanne out there. She really is. But anyway, so let me get back to the message. My husband rebukes me. But I want to talk to you about Isaiah, the 22nd chapter. The first through the 4th verse. And actually just read the whole chapter because we're talking about the nail. And we're talking about what God wants to do with these nails. That even though the construction is finished, how God still finds honor in the nails.
Right.
Things that we just throw away. Things that we just don't think a lot about. But in this story, I'm going to try to summarize it. Back in those days of when Isaiah and the prophets of old, Hezekiah and the prophets of old, when they lived and they built their construction, they built their homes, they did not build cupboards. They did not build shelves and closets. But what they did was they took nails and they put them along the wall. And that's how they stored things. They put the nails along the walls. That's how they took care of their things. If something was on a peg or a nail, it was safe and secure, stored properly and ready for use at the appropriate time. That's how they did it back in the day. We put our things in the closet till we're ready to use it. They hung theirs on a nail. We put ours on a shelf till we're ready to use it. They hung it on a nail. But God began to show me this. He talked about how the prophet Isaiah began to, he talked about a type and a shadow. And he used, King Hezekiah was the one who was in charge at this time. And King Hezekiah had many servants. But he had one servant who was high ranking. As a matter of fact, he was over all the money. And his name was Sheba. And Sheba was so, in such a high place, he was so enamored by being in the palace, that Sheba got so comfortable that he began to even buy where he was going to be buried. He purchased a tomb, and he made sure the tomb was real fancy because, he had all the wealth in while he was alive, but he was making preparation for the time when he was going to die. Amen. And the Lord saw this and did not like it. And he disqualified Sheba because of Sheba's heart. Because in Sheba's heart, he was full of pride. Wow. But God continued to walk down through Hezekiah's, his team. And there was another gentleman, and his name was Eliakim. And Eliakim was not over the wealth, he was over the households. So that makes me believe that he was just over the common people, the common things. But Eliakim, he had a good heart. Eliakim could be trusted. Eliakim could be trusted so that Jesus or that God in this scenario began to say, I'm going to elevate you. Listen to what the scripture says. He says, the godly Eliakim was a secure peg and could spiritually support his father's house and his offspring. What God did, what Prophet Isaiah was saying was that Sheba was going to be removed and Eliakim was going to be promoted. But Eliakim was not just going to be a man. He was going to be a sure nail. All right. He was going to be the sure peg. Because if I had put Sheba up here on the wall and I began to connect things to him because he wasn't right, everything that connected to him was going to fall off. Come on. But when I put Eliakim up on the wall, everything that's connected to him is going to stand. He was a sure nail. In the scripture, it calls him a sure peg. And here's the thing that I learned that was so beautiful. He says Eliakim is a picture of Jesus. Because Eliakim, let's go to that in Numbers so I can do justice to this. This was so good to me about Eliakim. I had never heard of Eliakim in my life. Eliakim is the son of Hilkiah. He is deemed and honored as my servant. His heart towards the Lord was so tender. He was over the household, but heaven knew him. He shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And it talks about in Numbers. Numbers, Isaiah 22. Wait till I tell you how this is going to be. I'm going to be away. Isaiah 22 and 22. Let's start at the 20th verse. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will call my servant Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, and I will clothe him with thy robe and strengthen him with thy girdle, and I will commit thy government unto his hand, and he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. And the key of the house of David will I lay upon the shoulder. So he shall open and none shall shut, and he shall shut and none shall open. And I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place, and he shall be for a glorious throne to his father's house. And they shall hang upon him all the glory of his father's house, the offspring, his children, and the issue, all vessels of small quantity, from the vessels of cups, even to the vessels of, what is that? Flagons. In that day, said the Lord of hosts, shall the nail that is fastened in the sure place, be removed and cut down. I'm going to stop right there. So Eliakim became this nail. And he's saying, and this is what I want you to see, although your construction is done, the keys open up things. Eliakim was given the keys of David that open up doors that no man can open and close doors that no man can shut. But what was more important than the key was the nail. Because the key opened and closed, but the nail sustained for eternity. And so because he was that nail, everything God, it's almost like you being a nail. And God, let me just use you, woman of God. She being a nail. And God saying, I'm going to put you in this house. You fashioned this house. You built this house. You spent 3 years constructing this house. Now what I want you to do is hang yourself in this house. I need you to be the nail. And because you made the sacrifice and you're going to hang yourself in this house, then your children and your grandchildren are going to be blessed. The inheritance is going to be blessed. Everything that's connected to you, because I can trust you. I can trust you with anointing. I can trust you with wealth. I can trust you with prosperity. I can trust you with gifts. I can trust you with calm, because she's a sure nail.
All right. Amen.
We're so busy trying to thank you. We're so busy trying to get the keys that we refuse to be the nail. It's the nail that secures my children's destiny. It's the nail that secures my children's inheritance. It's the nail. It's me getting on that wall and dying. It's me getting on that wall and sacrificing. It's me getting on that wall, staying full of character, staying humble before God that sanctifies my household. It's me being the nail. But we're so busy trying to get the keys. We're so busy trying to open up heaven so we can pull down more blessings. When God said, no, woman of God, you are the blessing. Get on the wall and die. Get on the wall and cry out. Get on the wall and humble yourself. Be the nail. Be the nail for your family. Be the nail for your grandchildren. Be the nail for your community. Yes. Yes. Eliakim had the character to be that nail. Sheba did not have the character to be the nail. Too many people hanging and they ain't got the character to hold your oil. You trying to connect to somebody on the wall who does not have the character to hold your anointing. And you're going and you're putting things in them and you're investing in them and you wonder why there's no increase. It's because as soon as you put it in them, it hits the ground. They have nothing to prosper. They have nothing to keep them. It's not there. God says, I resist Sheba. But I'm looking for an Elohim. I'm looking for someone that can be the nail for the next generation. I'm looking for someone that can pray and travail, who don't mind hanging on the wall and sacrificing so your children can be blessed, your household can be blessed, the nation can be blessed. Jesus. We're so busy trying to get the keys that we're missing the nail. God said, don't underestimate the nail. Don't underestimate the nail. But I can't stop there. Verse 25 says, in that day saith the Lord of hosts, shall the nail that is fastened in a sure place, even Eliakim, will be removed and cut down and fall. And the burden that was upon it, the weight that was upon it, shall be cut off, for the Lord has spoken it. God is saying, don't get so comfortable in that person that you forget the Savior. Because he was the ultimate nail. Remember, I told you the definition that the nail goes down and it divides the dirt. And when I think about Jesus hanging on the cross, oh Jesus, when I think about him, I said, God, there was only 3 nails. There was one in his hand. There was one in his hand. There was one in his feet. But God said, don't forget about the nail. When that cross was put into the ground, it was a nail that license to preach. Some of us have gone and we done bought the weed and we done bought the dresses so we can go out and prophesy. Some of us have done some things. We said, oh, we got it now. We got it now. We can go out here, we can do some stuff because we've been under construction. And God said, no matter what you put in your house, don't forget the nail. No matter what you put in your house, don't forget the nail. Don't forget the nail. Don't forget to crawl up on the nail and die so your household can live. Oh, God, don't forget the nail. Don't forget the nail. Don't forget the nail. God is not just looking for a pillar or a post. God is looking for a nail. Oh, yes. I'm done. Wasn't that powerful?